You can also buy land for $100.
Mm.
There's so many different ways of doing it. I'm sure you guys understand what tax auctions are, tax deed auctions. Everybody shows up to these tax deed auctions and they want to buy the houses, right? Well, guess what? There's like 50 little vacant land properties on that same list, and nobody pays attention to those things. They're going for $100, $200, $500. You can go in there and sweep up all those. And then you're in the game. You're immediately in the game for, say $300, and you're there.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jason Wojo. You are on the Life Inner Show, where we help people make more, work less, and create awesome, amazing, incredible, fantastic lives. I am joined by my co-host, Polish Peter.
Hey, man. So I'm excited about this particular podcast because guess what we're talking about today? We're talking about making money with dirt, stuff that you find on the ground.
How do you do like how do you do that? Like, what's the secret here? What are we doing?
Well, you pick up the dirt and you give it to somebody and hopefully they'll give you money for it. No, on serious side of things, man, we're talking to someone who is going to be talking about investing in real estate, buying and selling land. Dirt,
nice.
Land, it's an unbelievable part of the business because real estate investing is such a huge, industry. And we're just going to be talking about focusing on dirt. So maybe we'll find out where Al Capone is buried, those kinds of things. But I want you guys to listen to this particular episode because he talks about this type of a business, how it works. It's pretty simple. We discuss some of the different problems that we might have with it and a bunch of other stuff.
Dude, I love this model. And, everyone said this a zillion times, and it's so true here. God's not making any more land. And so this is a really cool niche of real estate that is a little bit off the beaten path for some people. So there's less competition. You are going to have a little bit more of a market advantage, and it doesn't require a whole lot of moving parts, really. It's very simple. Mm-hmm. And so check out the episode. This is PJ Reilly. You are going to love this. Check it out right now. Here we go. What's up, man? Welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys? How you doing?
We are excited to have you, bro. So Peter, as we were just talking, as we typically do before the podcast, you guys, maybe someday we'll release these behind the scenes footage. But
that's where the magic happens.
PJ and I go way back, man. Like weeks, perhaps even
weeks.
Adding days on there, perhaps
maybe
hours.
Weeks and a couple days. I mean, it's been so long. I can't even remember
significant.
Anymore.
It's significant.
So PJ, he hasn't negatively influenced you yet, has he?
It's been all good.
He did completely. I mean, I was on the right path in life. Things were going really well.
Come back to the light.
Yeah. I joined a gang. I mean, I've just been committing crimes. It's out of control.
I like you, man. Awesome, man. This is gonna be good. All right.
He was nice. I didn't know any better. I was impressionable.
Right.
Impressionable. All right,
man. Well, dude. Tell people a little bit about yourself. I want them to hear kind of like what you're up to and what you're doing. I thought it was really intriguing when we spoke last, and I knew I had to get you on the show.
Yeah. So, let's start from the beginning, I guess. I grew up all over the world. My dad was in the military, so we lived all over the planet. I was born in Barbados. We lived in Sicily, all over Europe, all over the East Coast of the United States. So we landed in Denver, Colorado. He was from Denver, so when he retired, we landed here in Denver. I got out of high school and college on the dean's list, which the dean has two lists, though, right? The dean's got two lists. He's got the list for those guys that are really excelling, and then he's got the list of the people he's going to ask to leave the school here soon. I was on that bottom list. So I did not excel in high school or college, but I did graduate with a 2.0 for both.
Boom.
Touchdown.
Got in and out of there, right? So out of college, really, my GPA wasn't going to be the thing that got me a job, So I kind of bounced around, ton of different entrepreneurial endeavors and jobs. I did insurance. I was an insurance salesperson. I was a personal trainer. I was a professional fighter. I tried a business where we try to put credit card readers in police cars. We tried to start this up. So a buddy gets pulled over. He had a speeding ticket that he never paid. Right.
But why are you trying to help them out? You should be helping us out.
Well, it was just part of the deal. The guy comes to me. He's like, I got pulled over. I had a speeding ticket. I never paid it. They took me to jail. So I'm like, okay, well, we got to figure this out. There's got to be a better system, right? What if you could swipe a credit card right when you get pulled over, right? Sounds great. Sounds genius. Banks, we had a bunch of big vendors, banks that everyone's heard of, all thought it was a great idea. A ton of different people thought this was like, man, this could be a big thing. Unfortunately, not a single law enforcement agency in the country thought it was a good idea. So, and I get it. You don't want cops running credit cards. That's absurd. So
cops with cards.
Right. Yeah. So needless to say, we're not talking about my credit card reader business that, right now. So I was doing direct sales. I had about $1,100 in an envelope in my room. I was at work and a buddy's like, hey man, you're an entrepreneur. You should do real estate. You should buy houses in Detroit, right? A house in Detroit costs $1. I'm like, dude, I got a bunch of $1 bills. I can buy a bunch of houses, right? Not much more, but I got a bunch.
You can have 1,100 houses like
dude,
that.
Seriously, like I could get an empire. Like nobody else knows about this. This is amazing. So I go on YouTube, the place you go when you're like, I don't know how to do anything. You want to like fix a toilet, turn a wrench in any way, you go to YouTube, right? So I go to YouTube to find out how to buy and sell houses in Detroit for $1. So I go on there, find out it is much more difficult than they make out. You're not going to buy a house for $1 anywhere. And even if you did buy the house and you put in a dishwasher and a microwave and all that stuff and all the wiring, that thing's going to be gutted by midnight. You're not going to have, that's going to be a shell of a house by midnight.
Peter lives there. So yeah.
By the way, I live not too far away from Detroit. So watch what you say.
It's not gonna, that copper wire is gone by tonight. You got nothing left, right? So anyway, during the course of my research, I find this video and this guy's talking about buying and selling vacant land. So I was like, well, I've always wanted to own lands. This looks kind of cool. So we get about halfway through the video and I go to Zillow and I'm like, there's this guy about 2 hours south of me selling 2 little properties for about $1,100 each. Now, remember, I have $1,100 from my direct sales that I'd been doing kind of on the side. So I got halfway through this video. So I did understand you got to lowball these guys. You don't offer them retail price. So I cut it in half. I'm like, well, I got $1,100. You got 2 properties for $1,100 each. What if we could do both properties for $1,100? Guy's like, yeah, sure, fine. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, what the hell do we do now? Do I like I don't know what to do, so you're gonna have to take it from here. He goes, don't sweat it, send me a check, I'll take care of everything. That's what he did. I sent him a check, he took care of everything. And that's where I bought, and that's what's kind of started the first the business. That was my first 2 properties.
Dude, do you still have them?
No, I sold those like 2 weeks later.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, $1,500 a piece too.
Dude, that's a nice ROI.
Proof of concept right away.
Yeah. So when you discovered this, you're like, I have like lightning in a bottle. Like, what was it like for you? You super successful right off the bat, and you started small. Like, I guess so people that are, this is a safety kind of like gauge. Like worst case scenario, you lose some money, whatever. It's not, you're not remortgaging the house. Sure. What happened from there, man?
Yeah, so from there, I finished the rest of the video, right? I watched the rest of this guy's video. I should learn how to do it. Learn how to do this business. So the next guy, I call him, I'm like, all right, what do I do now? So, yeah, dude, I finished the video and, I just started learning from there. I mean, it's a big business. There's a lot to learn, even just with vacant land. I started mailing. So I would, instead of going on Zillow to find sellers, I would mail. I would just send letters out to big, huge communities and I would offer on all their properties. And that's kind of progressed to where, we're at now, where it's I don't really buy $550 properties anymore, but I still mail. I mean, you got to mail to these. I send like 10,000 letters a month right now.
Where do you get, are you buying lists, man? Or are you just going to like the counties? So how are you getting those lists?
Yeah. So there's data sources out there everywhere. Okay. I use one called Data Tree. There's tons of them. List Source. There was Agent Pro. There's all these different lists, these data sources. Okay. So you can go onto these data sources and they cost, you have to buy them. You have to pay for them. But then once you have the service, you can search any county, anywhere in the country. And you can search based on all kinds of different criteria. School district, how much, if you want houses, you can search houses. I typically search obviously vacant land. So I'll go in and say, what county are you in, Peter?
I mean, what do you mean? I mean, about 30 minutes north of Detroit.
What's the name of the county that you live in?
Oh, Oakland.
Oakland County. So I'll go Oakland County, Michigan, and I'll say 4 to 6 acre properties. And then I'll just send letters to every single property owner who has 4 to 6 acres in Oakland County, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
From there, those guys will respond, right? And I have virtual assistants, and it's a system. I'm not physically doing this all myself. They'll respond. These guys will respond. They'll call my answering service. Answering service will ask them a few questions, and then they will, they'll say, yes, I want to sell you my property, or a lot of F-bombs.
Right, so one or the other.
It's one or the other. And I'd say 90% F-bombs, 10%. Yeah, let's do this. So then from there, we agree. There was a price. There was an offer. There was an offer amount on the letter I sent them in the first place. They either agree or they don't. And then I buy the property.
So you're basically just anybody who has vacant land. And what is it in particular that you like about 4 to 6 acres?
Oh, that was just a
so kind of do you well, because I'm thinking often when I was searching houses on the MLS back in the day, I'd have I'd look for keywords, needs work, handyman special, sure. All that kind of stuff. Is there a certain kind of property that is your sweet spot that you really like?
Yeah, anything between 5 and 40 acres is usually what I typically buy.
Okay.
And what I'll look for is a good number in that county. So let's say Oakland County only has 10 5-acre properties, or those 4 to 6 we're looking for. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd move around. I'd look around. Oh, wait a minute. There's 10-acre properties. There's 1,000 10-acre properties in that county. So I'll move on to that. So then I'll start buying those. I'm looking for a large number. I need to throw out this giant net, right? And so I need a larger number of properties to look at least. And then I'll send letters to those people.
Gotcha.
We're looking more of rural areas then, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Rural vacant land, places where people hunt, fish, camp, maybe build a home eventually. But yeah, I usually don't buy properties with houses on them. Now, sometimes there's a house on them. But I'm buying the land, right? Mm-hmm. So I will set out to buy land. Sometimes there's a mobile home. There's an old tear down house. There's different things on these properties, sheds or something. Some guy left an RV on there a couple days ago. But for the most part, those aren't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the land. And if anything is on there, it's in addition to the seller gets to get, a mobile home if they would like, or an RV or something.
That's so you buy the property. Are you now you wholesale these properties, correct? You turn around and selling them?
Yes.
Are you just putting them back on the MLS, or do you have a buyer's list, or how do you dispose of them?
Sure. Yeah. So I don't use the MLS. I've actually never used the MLS. I've never used a realtor to sell any property. Huh. And I've done around 500 deals about. Wow. I would say I have a buyer's list, which is pretty solid. Buyer's list will buy fairly regularly. And there's a few people on that buyer's list that they're just awesome, solid go-to people. They may resell the property themselves or keep it. That's really none of my business. If they want to take it from me, they can take it. I'd sell maybe, let's say 10% to that group. The other 90% is Facebook.
No kidding.
Facebook is insane.
Like Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah.
Wow.
Facebook Marketplace. I'll put a property on there. And I typically sell with owner financing too. So let's say I'm selling a property for $30,000, right? Your average guy can't come up with 30 grand. I mean, average people, right? Run of the mill, 9 to 5 kind of guys. It's $30,000 is a lot of cash, really, to anybody, just to throw at some vacant land. However, let's say $500 a month for 60 months. That's a little more affordable. So that's what I offer. I owner finance everything. So if they want to buy that property, they can pay $500 a month. I think it's 60 months, right? My math's pretty bad. Yeah, remember the 2.0? Right. We go back to that. How you need a calculator. So $500 a month for 60 months. And then they get the property, and then it's deeded over to them at the end, but they don't have to come up with that huge chunk of money. And they get what they want. I get what I want. It's fairly simple.
Dude, that is freaking awesome. What a cool system. Now, is this something that you kind of tweaked along the way, or was a lot of this kind of like, hey, you found this plan, you executed, and you made it happen?
It's a combination of everything.
Okay.
There's other people that do land. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
But there's just different things I will do that they won't do. I don't use realtors. A lot of the people that are kind of have moved up and scaled to the level I have are now using realtors. They're out of the game completely. I don't need a realtor to sell on my property. I can do it just as quickly as a realtor, actually considerably faster than most realtors. But yeah, so I mean, there's a basic model out there: buy land, sell land. Figure out how you're going to do it. But yeah, I've tweaked it a little bit.
So I'm curious. I've never done any land. I am really intrigued by it.
I got some for you,
dude. We're going to be talking here after the podcast. Right. Is there a formula? Like, for instance, like I'm very familiar with like new construction and rehabs. And in the rehab community, the golden rule that's been in forever is like, hey, my maximum offer, what I can pay for this thing is 70% of after repaired value minus whatever I put into it. Is there a formula for land, or like, how do you calculate value of land? It seems like relatively more challenging.
Sure.
The number of trees there are on the parcel, right?
Maybe that would be a good one. I should look into that. But no, not currently. That's not my formula. Currently, I want to double for cash and I want to triple on terms. So let's say that $30,000 property, let's hope these numbers work out. I will spend $10,000 for that property if I'm going to sell it for financing, right? So I want to triple my money. Now, doubling it, I would sell it for 20.
Got it.
So that would be my offer price for whatever size that property is. I really don't care. If I find all my comps and they typically go for $30,000 $20,000 for cash, I'm offering 10. And then I can typically owner finance it for 3 times that.
Got it, man. And so when are you running comps as well? Or you're just looking for comparable lots, what they've sold and try to get some data there.
Yeah, I go to like sites like LandWatch, Land and Farm, Zillow, Realtor.com. Just take a combination of everything. And you got to get your, it's just an average on the low end too. You want an average on the low end, and you want to make sure whatever the site you're using is also has investors in it, not just realtors. Realtors overprice everything, especially in the land game, because they just don't know how to price. So they don't, I mean, I don't want to knock a realtor because there's a lot of great ones out there, and there's a lot of great land realtors out there too. But they don't necessarily know how to price if they're a residential real estate person, so they way overprice these things.
How has this niche been affected by like everything with COVID and the inflation? Like, is land relatively immune to that, or is it super, does it fluctuate a lot?
Yeah, I don't feel like it's moved too much. I will say there was a while there where the prices were going up big time. They were shooting up really fast. And so my offer prices were getting rejected, so I was like, this is crazy. Recently, over the past maybe couple of months, I've gotten more accepted offers than I've ever gotten in my entire life.
Oh, wow.
It's people, my opinion is people want cash. Yeah. Right. So they're thinking, okay, things may change here in the future. We don't know what can happen. It could be bad. It could be good. We don't know. But based on what the news and what all the big guys are saying, let's get some cash and set it aside. Right. So a lot of these guys are selling these properties. They'll never go there anyway. The people I'm buying from, it's not like they're currently building on the property. Right. This is something they bought 20 years ago. And they're like, well, you know what? We don't really need this property. It's probably about time to sell it. This guy's offering cash. Let's just do it. So they just sell it to me. They get their cash, and hopefully nothing happens in the future. But if it does, they have their cash, and I got my properties.
Dude, I'm just so intrigued by this. So are you going to walk that property before you buy it, or do you buy it sight unseen?
Yeah. No. What's the due diligence on that?
I don't think I've ever walked a property before I bought it.
Oh man.
In like 500 deals, I don't think I've ever walked anything prior to buying it.
Wow.
It's vacant land for the most part. So Google Maps are great. The county GIS is great. I'll also send a local person out there to take pictures of the property.
Okay.
So And here's how I get them too, which is so cool. Facebook Marketplace.
Mm.
I mean, I'll go on Oakland County, Michigan. We're really using Oakland
Mm-hmm.
County a lot here. I might start actually looking there.
That's okay.
Oakland
Macomb
County,
is the
Michigan.
next door. You can say Macomb.
So Oakland County, Michigan, I'll go on the Oakland County, Michigan buy, sell, trade Facebook group, and I'll put an ad and I'll say, hey, I need pictures taken of a property I own. I'll pay you $50. I will have so many people respond to that in the first hour. They'll be out there within 2 hours because they all live close by, right? They're all local. So they drive out there, they take my pictures, they're looking at it, you know. I'm like, hey, can you take a picture of the road in, the road out, maybe 15 to 20 pictures of the property? I'll Venmo you $50 right away. They get it done. They send it to me as they're driving home from their phone. I Venmo them immediately. They got their money. I got my pictures of what it looks like right now, you know, versus what Google Maps and what the GIS says. And I know exactly what the property looks like. And sometimes, you know, a guy pulled up his RV and dumped it there. You know, sometimes there's all kinds of problems on a property, but
So
yeah, that's it.
on that note, through all your dealings and everything, have you found where the Al Capone is buried yet?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Oh, so check this out though. So I go to see a property. I've owned this property for like 2 years, right? It's in Colorado, about 2.5 hours. And I was like, yeah, 2.5 hours south of me, in the middle of the mountains, right? So I'm like, I'm going to go actually check this property out. I was told there might be a squatter there, so I got to be careful, you know? So I go out there, walk up to the property. There is somebody probably living on my property or the one next door in an RV. They're close enough where it could be mine, could be theirs, whatever, no problem. I walk right by them. They don't come outside. They're going to avoid me like the plague, I think. So I start walking up this property, right? And I'm walking and I'm looking. It's 5 acres on the side of a mountain. It's beautiful. Trees, rock formations, everything. Now, this is the Colorado mountains and it's super rural. So you got to be careful. People are an issue. You got to be worried. But also mountain lions, bears, we got it all. You know, no one's coming to save you if a mountain lion comes after you. There's no sheriff. There's no gas station on the corner you can go run to. You're in the middle of nowhere. So I get up about halfway up. I start noticing bones. Like,
I'm like, okay, I'm out of here.
And I'm carrying. You always got to carry out in places like this because honestly, it's for your own safety.
Yeah,
you got to be careful. So I'm carrying. So I kind of draw my pistol and I'm like looking around and nothing. And then I'm like, forget it. Let's keep going to the top. I get all the way to the top. There was this pile of bones at the top where something is dragging its dead to and eating them. So I didn't see any lions, but I figured it might be a lion because there was a deer head there. There was all kinds of deer bones.
Oh man!
So I didn't find Al Capone, but somebody almost would have had to come looking for me. I think
That's close enough.
I would have stuck around for too much longer. I think it was in their kitchen.
Maybe it was a person who's living in the RV. There's some sort of like crazy cult or something going on there.
Unfortunately, you might be right. That may have actually been it.
So, dude, but you have all kinds of stories. Like you were telling us about another cool property that you just bought, and it's getting developed here in an interesting way.
Yeah, so I had this 5-acre lot in Oklahoma. Beautiful property, really close to like a big lake. In Oklahoma, there's lots of lakes, but this one was really nice. I mean, it was a nice lake that everyone in the area liked. I had 5 acres. I was all excited about it. I paid like $5,000 for it, right? $5,000 for this property. Guy was in New York. He didn't want it. He wanted to get rid of it. So he sold it to me. So I have the property. I'm all excited. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to market it. About 6 months after owning the property, I had already sold it, right? I sold it on owner financing. So I sold to this lady. She's all excited about it. I get this letter and the state's like, we're taking that from you. That's ours now. And I was like, wait, what? I've already sold it. Like, this is horrible. So I didn't, the woman had already paid me a few $1,000. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I got to give you your money back. You know, I don't know what's going on with the state, but they're telling me they're taking it. And I don't want you to be involved in this. So I pay this woman her money back and she's kind of upset. She's not super happy, but I'm like, hey, next time, I get a good property, we'll talk. Cool. No big deal. So the state calls me maybe another year later, right? I think I lost this thing. I thought the property was gone. They were like, it's ours now. We're putting a highway street to the middle of it. Sorry. They call me and they're like, no, how about this? We need to do some survey work on it. Would you sign some paperwork for the survey? I'm like, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. You guys are taking it from me, right? I guess I'll comply with the government. So I'm like, yeah, fine. Well, long story short, 2 years later was yesterday. Yesterday was about 2 years later, roughly. They sent me a letter, and it said they were going to buy the property. Now, remember, I bought this thing for $5,000 2 years ago. The state's going to offer to buy this thing for $69,000. So a $64,000 profit. Once again, the math's not great, but I think that's right. $64,000 profit for a property that I've never seen, I've never done anything with. I did zero work on it. Had one guy take pictures of it. That's it.
Man, that is phenomenal. What a cool story.
Thank you, state of Oklahoma. I love you.
Yeah, right.
I got a lot more properties out there too.
You find out where they're moving, Dave. Yeah, find out where they're where they're building, and then buy more right their way.
Right. You can start throwing highways through all my properties. Just,
That's right.
Just run them over. I don't care.
Like I said, dude, start a new business. Toll booths. That's your new
had
thing,
a great
dude.
idea.
On those freeways. I say,
That's
I'll
right.
lease you that property, and you can buy my toll booth.
That's right. Yeah,
Forever
PJ's in a toll booth. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So listen,
Never have cash.
So I got a question for you, because one of the things that probably listeners are listening to this podcast and they're thinking, well, this is really cool. This is awesome. And I mean, doesn't seem like there is a lot of, things that can go wrong. There is not a lot of problems with it and all that kind of stuff. This is awesome. I should do this. What kind of a person is perfect for land kind of investing? Who should be investing in this kind of stuff?
Yeah, gosh. I mean, I like land. I would say that you're getting residual, it's not passive income. You have to work for it, right? But you're getting residual income. So anybody who wants residual income, even on the side, if you're a house investor, if you're, you buy apartments and you want something on the side, in addition to this will be a real easy way to make extra money. I would say it's for anybody though. Anybody who wants to make residual, I keep saying passive, residual income, it's a great business. Like I said, though, I like land. I like going out and looking at properties. I don't do it very often. I mean, just based on time. And, we have quite a few right now going, and it's almost impossible to get out there. But, it's really for anybody who needs a side hustle, side income. It's definitely simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. It's it's simple to understand.
So how much time would you say you spend in a week in this business?
Mm-hmm. Let's say 20 hours a week.
Okay.
In the land business. And maybe sometimes 30. It all depends on what I'm doing. Right now I'm trying to add a bunch of automation. You and I spoke about that a long time, or 2 weeks ago. We spoke about that. So I'm doing a lot of automation things, so there's a little bit more techie, geeky work that I'm trying to do right now to kind of set myself up for future, to scale it more. I mean, I'm doing pretty good, but I'm only one person.
So do you have an end game for this? Like, do you have a vision for this as to like what you would like to either in terms of residual cash flow produce, or a certain, number of deals per year? Like, are you just going to keep going and see how it goes? Like, what's your plan with this?
Yeah, it's funny because I always have like a set number. And when I get to that number, I'm like, it's not that great. I want more. Right. I mean, I think that's just that's human nature, I guess. No, I mean, the more you move up in life, you meet new people, and you think your number is good and their number is 10 times that. And they're like, man, what are you doing? You can be like me. You could do what I'm doing. And so I guess the goal is freedom. Okay. Yeah. So long story short, the goal is freedom. The numbers can keep going up. I mean, who knows where inflation goes in the world? I guess they're kind of irrelevant. It's the freedom. Once I'm at a point where I don't have to work my day job anymore.
Yeah.
I would consider that not necessarily a starting part, but a good place to shoot for right now.
Right. Well, I think, I agree with you. I think it's all about that. Because here's the thing: I see people, they may be making tons of money, but they're working all the time. Like, okay, are you really sure this is the direction you want to move? And so, as I think what you said is totally right, is freedom. What are some of the risks that people need to be, cognizant of as they get into this? What are some of the things that you see people get hung up on, I should say?
Yeah, they spend too much money, and then
Uh,
so I noticed that especially new people will come in and they'll get really excited about things, and they'll accept an immediate offer. Let's say they send out an offer for $5,000. Guy sends back them a letter back, and it's their first letter. Let me see if I can find. I have so many of them that are like, my property's worth $100,000, and so maybe this new guy says, okay, I don't want to lose that deal. Like, I think this is what I need to be doing. So they spend too much. And I mean, maybe those numbers 5 to 100,000 were a little bit drastic, but they'll spend maybe 10, 15, $20,000 on a property that's only worth five. And so I definitely see that as the problem with the new guy. Also, I think people get really excited when they hear, if I tell somebody I make $40,000 in a month from just land investing, they're like, I want to make that. And so if they don't make it within the first 2, 3, 4 months, they feel like a failure. They're like, I only made $500. I'm like, dude, that's great. That's a great amount to start with. Keep going, man. Just keep rolling. But I think the excitement of being a millionaire, flying a private jet, driving a Lamborghini, all these things online today,
right.
people get excited about that. And when they see something like land, when they hear me talking and they think, I could do that, that's easy. Those two things don't combine fast enough for them. The return doesn't combine fast enough. They get irritated and they quit. So I do run into a lot of people who have done land. They did it for maybe 6 months and then they bolted.
Yep. Man, that's interesting. I think that's probably true in almost anything, especially, I mean, someone watches an episode of Flip This House and they think they're the next flipper, and they go out there and they get hurt, and they don't do their due diligence, and they are impatient, and they haven't, put the time in, really. I think you're probably right. It's just human nature. Like, we just want the quick fix, right?
Well, just look at crypto too recently.
Yeah, there
crypto,
you go.
Everyone thought they were going to be a billionaire because they saw a few guys posting videos of, with next to their Lamborghinis, And I mean, I knew a guy at our gym that had a Lamborghini, and it was a crypto deal. He had this crypto company and he was doing really good. And he ain't got that Lamborghini anymore.
Right.
That thing is gone. I don't know where he put it. Probably sold it, but
right.
You ain't got it anymore.
Right. And then, just out of curiosity, like so someone might think like, hey, I don't have money to buy land to begin. I don't even have $5,000 or $10,000. Do you ever have people lend to you and then you just give them a return, or do you joint venture with people? Like, what are some creative ways that you found to finance deals if cash was tight, or what could people do?
Sure. So, I mean, that's definitely an option. I've helped people with deals before. People have helped me with deals before. You can also buy land for $100. There's so many different ways of doing it. I'm sure you guys understand what tax auctions are, tax deed auctions. Everybody shows up to these tax deed auctions and they want to buy the houses, right? So they see there's 10 houses on the tax. So let's explain tax deeds real quick. So the county, people aren't paying their taxes. The county needs to recoup those taxes. So they will sell off all the properties to recoup those taxes, right? So, of the people that aren't paying. So you go to these tax deed auctions and there's houses there. So everybody wants the houses. Everybody's focused on that. Well, guess what? There's like 50 little vacant land properties on that same list, and nobody pays attention to those things. They're going for $100, $200, $500. You can go in there and sweep up all those. And then you're in the game. You're immediately in the game for, say $300 and you're there. So there's definitely other ways of doing it other than sending mail out to people. You can go that route. You can buy them wholesale from people like me. Let's say I buy a property for $500 or $1,000 or whatever, I'm fine with making $1,500 on it. Well, the retail value is $5,000. So you're still making a killer deal, but you can buy it from guys like me. So there's a lot of different ways of doing it. Borrowing money is okay. I wouldn't recommend it when you're new. Not at all. Just too many people would borrow an absurd amount of money. They would get credit cards and then they would never be able to pay those back. They just don't have the skills, and maybe their eyes are big in their stomach kind of deal.
Right. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, man. Also, I'm wondering here, you didn't mention developing any land or putting a house on it. Do you avoid all that stuff? So what's allowed you to stay focused on just this and stay in your lane? Because I know so many people will get a bunch of land. They're like, hey, I could do this with it. I could do that with it. I could, and they just go crazy. And like they're all over the place.
Yeah. Honestly, it's, it's simplicity right now. And they sell so fast.
Yeah.
I don't need to do anything else on them. I've looked at that. I've definitely looked at putting a house on, putting a shooting range on properties, dirt bike tracks, things like that. It's just, it's not where I feel like I have shiny object syndrome, right? So if I start looking at putting a dirt bike track on every property, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to talk to a guy talking about, he has a RV lot on his property, and I'm going to want to go do that. I'm just going to sell land, man. Let these guys do whatever they want to the properties. I will buy the land, sell the land. I'm making 300% on these deals.
Yeah.
I'll just keep doing that.
That sounds really cool, man. Go ahead.
I got a question for you, because you said how many deals you've done so far?
About 500.
500. Okay. So it's been a while, right?
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now after the 500 deals, what would you tell yourself on the first deal? PJ on the first deal, what would you tell him?
Sell for cash.
Say
Sell
it again?
for cash early on. Don't finance early on. Yeah. So the owner financing idea is great, and it's awesome, but it takes you so long to recoup those early investments that you're in the hole so deep before you can ever get out of that. I would sell for cash immediately, even if it's even if you're not getting retail price for these properties. Sell for cash. Build that cash reserve so that then eventually you can start doing owner financing, and you're not digging into like personal savings or maybe a HELOC or something like that.
That's a good point, man.
Cash, man, right away.
So I guess early on you'd buy something. You're like, and how long did you say your average term was when you sell?
Oh gosh, so on financing, it's like 30 minutes sometimes.
Well, no, I mean like when you own or finance it, like how long are you making those?
3 years, 5 years,
3 years?
Oh yeah, about 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm.
So you buy one property, $5,000. Yeah, you're gonna get back triple that over 5 years, but like in the meantime, you're down $5,000.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great point, man.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, you can get a good down payment if you choose to. But it's still, no matter what you're doing, if you're buying at a certain level, like if you're buying anything over like $1,000 and you're trying to finance it, it's going to take you a little bit of time to recoup that expense. So I would definitely say start by, kind of, it's like a train, right? It's like a train. You're slowly getting it moving. And once you're at full speed, then you can start doing owner financing deals.
Well, dude, this is absolutely awesome. Like tell people where can we learn more about what you're doing, about land and this whole process, and where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm everywhere, man. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm even on TikTok.
What are you doing?
Dude,
are you doing
an
the land
old
dance?
Man on TikTok? I am.
Is there a land dance I need to know about?
Dude, I should. Oh, the land dance. I'm gonna start calling it that.
Yes.
So everyone is always like, "Do you dance on TikTok?"
Don't listen to him.
Thelanddance.com. You can take it, man. Go get it. Go get it.
I want to do that. So PJ Reilly is Land Life on TikTok, on Facebook, PJ Reilly, Instagram, PJ Reilly, and Land Life. There's 2 different accounts there. YouTube, it's Land Life, LANDLIFE. If you want to do land, if you want to learn how to buy and sell land, I got a quick course. So landlifecourse.com. You can get that. It's super affordable. But I'm everywhere, man. I'm all over the place.
Dude, I'm and speaking of your course, I'm pulling it up right now as we're talking to, and awesome. we actually had a discussion about this, Peter, that I'm like, dude, this is way, way, way too cheap. Based on what
Bojan wants to get it, make sure you charge him triple.
Well, hold on. Before you release this podcast, let me get online real quick. Let me up the amount.
Well, I'm just telling you, anybody who takes a look at this, like I can't tell you, like it's if you enjoyed this, if you want to learn more about land, and you learn something here from PJ, like check it out. It's a steal. Well, awesome, brother. Thanks, Thank you so much for being on Life in Our Show. It's a privilege, and we'll be catching up soon, man.
Peter and Jason, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Dude, that was cool, man. My luck, I'd buy a piece of land and I'd have there'd be like an underground oil tank or something that I'd have to pay the EPA like $200,000 to remove.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't get to ask him that, but he mentioned in one of the county like GSI maps or something like that. Because you got probably have to look
GIS,
for wetlands and you have to look for
flood zones,
oil barrels, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a really cool business model if you really think about it. You know what I mean?
I like it a lot, man, because I'm telling you, I think it's great for a lot of people. Because number one, listen, I love wholesaling, I love rehabbing, but they are so saturated. They're so saturated. And what I like about this is a couple things. Number one, yes, of course, do your due diligence, right? And I like that the fact that he's had a lot of VAs and other people, local people, taking pictures and doing things for him so that he's not doing it. But here's the thing: you don't need a lot of money. You can start smaller. You don't need, $300,000 for a renovation, right? You could start, who knows? You could probably get into this for 10, 20, 30, 50 grand. So you can get into it way cheaper, which I really like. So there's easy accessibility. I also really like that you can create residual income with this as well. Now, yes, you can owner finance houses and things like that too. It's a great strategy, but when you have that money available and now you're able to kind of like create some cash flow for yourself, that's pretty cool too. And I also thought it was interesting how he said, like, if he did it again, he'd probably defer that just a little bit further out, build those reserves, build up, the war chest first, and then start doing that. So I thought that was really cool too.
I think that's a good idea, because if you think about it, when we talk about here at Lifepreneur about creating your vision, right? Then we talk about how much is it going to take you for you to live this vision, right? You come up with this number. So when you start focusing first off on cash, because think about most people when they start on these kinds of businesses, they are either have a job or they don't want to work for somebody else, or they don't have a lot of money. So it's a good entrance to be able to do it that way. But at the same time, if you don't have a lot of cash, guess what you should be focusing about? Building some of those cash reserves, right? Yeah. So there is a process. And one thing that I got out of this episode too is focus. I think this is so important because, especially in the real estate industry, there are so many ways to quote unquote skin a cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you got to be focused. You got to, this could be a told squirrel. So just make sure that this aligns with your vision to help you live that vision. It's not another thing. I'm going to jump in this for, he talked about somebody going in there for like 6 months. Yeah. And then, getting off of it. This is a long-term process, I would say. You go in there with the idea that you're going to do this for a while.
Give it a year. Give it some amount of time to give it success, and don't get off path. He mentioned shiny object syndrome, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys catch this, but shiny object syndrome, SOS, is the initials. Like, it's telling you right off the bat to avoid this. And so he stayed in his lane. He stayed I made that up, man, so don't try and steal that. He stayed in his lane. He stayed focused. But here's the other thing that I really like. And so he kind of caught himself here a little bit too, which I thought was kind of cool. And it's very aligned with Life and Air. He's like, depending on who you're around, we talk about this all the time. Like, you're influenced by them. And he's seeing people that are making like, oh, I'm making 10 times as much as you should make. You should do what I do. And he realized, which, by the way, he's totally right. You're going to make some amount of money. And if you don't have a vision, you don't have a number tied to that, you're just going to want more. Like, you might be making $3,000 a month. I want 5. And you start making $5,000 a month residual cash flow. I want 10. I want 25. That's how human nature is. And so I love that he tied it back into freedom. He's like, ultimately, like, it's freedom that I'm looking for. Freedom. And so that's really what we're all looking for at the end of the day, if you think about it.
That's why it's so important for you when you write this vision, you have this vision, then you figure out what your freedom number is.
Yeah.
Because that will, based on the circumstances in your life of what you got going on right now, that number is going to change if you don't have that freedom number ahead of time.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to make more. You're just like, I'll just make more money. At what cost, though? You're starting to work more. You're going to give up other parts of your life. So I thought it was an awesome episode, man. Really cool. A lot of great nuggets in there. Yeah, I really enjoyed having him on the show. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, leave us a rating, give us a thumbs up, share this, put it everywhere you can find it. Anyone that will listen, like, tell them about the Life and Air Show. We would love to reach more people and change more lives. Until next week, we will see you next time, everybody. Take care.